Hello, welcome to our channel. It's Rafael Gutierrez, and today I'm actually going to address something that I came across that I thought was pretty interesting. Uh, a Pretty much a friend of mine sent me something and asked me what I thought, and it was a big corporate martial arts school chain telling people how to choose a martial art. Now, right away, you can see that there's going to be a little bias on something like that. And instead of pointing out who they are and I'm going to actually just give my uh, response to this. Now, if you are trying to choose your own martial arts school, there are certain things that I believe are important. There are things that people will tell you, well, it's not that important. Now, the first thing I would tell you when choosing a martial arts school is make sure that they use the proper terms. Now, I don't mean proper terms such as, well, this is a maigere, or this is this, or this is a straight kick or a roundhouse kick. I mean, when they talk about their school, are they using the name for what the school would be called? What I mean by that is if they're calling their school a dojo, dojo is a Japanese word, so it's actually more for martial arts from Japan and Okinawa, which is part of Japan, but a lot of times people break it off. If it's Korean art, usually they will be using dojang. Dojang is a Korean word. If it's Chinese, it will actually have a Chinese word for what they call dojos. And unfortunately, I can't remember what the name a friend of mine told me it was. And so that's actually one of the big things to actually look at. Are they using the right words? Second thing that I will tell you is, depending on the martial art, things may actually be completely different in the terms of equipment. For instance, if you're doing a sport martial art which requires you to use a lot of focus pads, then it's important to have focus pads. If you're doing an MMA, there's equipment for them that they're going to use. A lot of times, so it seems like some of the people who do MMA will actually use your opponent, the person you're working with, as part of the way you are going to train. So it is one of the, they may actually use less equipment. In traditional karate, traditional Okinawan karate and a traditional Japanese karate, there's actually books written about how the old founders said the nice thing about karate is all you need is a small space. You don't need these huge spaces. You don't need special equipment. You're actually going to be using pretty much yourself and a partner. What I mean by that is this: a lot of people think, oh, because you don't have something to punch, you're not learning to punch. Well, a lot of traditional schools will use an opponent. What that means is one person will punch, the other person will learn to absorb, and usually you start gradually and build up in the. You don't need special gloves in some traditional schools. One thing that is nice is makiwaras, but for me, I have my own makiwara at home. I don't have any in the school because of just the way that I run my school. There were a lot of other things that they actually mentioned, which to me, a lot of the stuff seemed more like luxury items rather than real martial arts schools necessary. So, for instance, one of the things they mentioned is location. Well, location is important to a degree. If you're looking for a great martial arts school and you don't care how long you have to travel, you will do it. I will tell you, it's like when I first started, when I first moved to San Diego, I would go about once a month to LA to train with the school I was training there because I hadn't found a school here. So location is actually one of those things where it's nice if it's close to your house. And if you're beginning, you're probably going to want to do that. But depending on how serious you are, distance isn't actually a big deal. Nowadays, when I actually when I go learn at the school, I actually go from San Diego to Okinawa and train there. So location, it can or cannot be important. Now, the other thing that the company told you to look for is, do they have an office on site? Well, if they have an office on site, what they're telling you directly is this is a business. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I mean, there's a lot of martial arts schools which are businesses. They actually are the main source of income for the person who owns it and some of the people who work for them. And you can get some great training in it. I will tell you my experience. The best trainings I've had was not in a commercial school. I trained with a gentleman named Kensei Taba for a little bit before he passed away. And he would actually teach you sometimes in his house, sometimes in some property that he owned. And by the way, he didn't have a commercial school. He pretty much taught whoever he wanted to, wherever he wanted to. He had an outside job. He wasn't a professional martial artist in the sense of that was his only source of money. Now I train with other people. Most of the gentlemen I train with when I go to Okinawa are either retired or thinking of retiring. And a lot of them teach just because they love doing it. I mean, it's not a thing of, well, I need to earn X amount of money to do it. It's about, do I enjoy doing what I'm doing? Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with making money off of teaching martial arts, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a better martial art because it's a business versus if it's a small independent place, which all they want to do is teach their art. In my experience, I have actually seen that many times the small places or those people who just want to teach what they know to the next generation usually tend to be a lot better than the big businesses. But I have actually run into some big businesses, martial arts schools, which are able to give high quality martial arts. So, that's having an office, like I said, isn't a big thing. The other thing they actually mentioned was flooring and how your floor should be a mattress, pretty much, a pads. And the truth is, well, pads are actually important for certain martial arts. For instance, if you're doing judo, you do want the padded floor because they're going to be throwing you. Aikido, ironically, I've actually talked to some people in Aikido who say they prefer wood floors because it forces them to learn to fall. I have actually, I teach karate and I teach falls on wood floors. Why? Because because I actually teach it a certain way. I don't actually have people hit hard the first time. And the truth is, anyone who's teaching you to fall really shouldn't rely on mats for, are you going to fall hard? They should actually teach you to fall starting from the ground and going up. So the mats really aren't important. Again, I will actually talk about my experience. I've gone to dojos which have hardwood floors because that's the way their dojo was built. It was built a while ago, and that was it. I've gone to dojos that have concrete floors. Again, it's what they had, and that's the way they've done it. I have gone to schools that have the the dance floors, which are amazing. I actually, to be honest, those are the ones I prefer. And the reason is it actually, you have the benefit of the wood, but it's also, if you hit the ground, it pretty much has a little more of a give, but it's not as like walking on a pillow. Sometimes, not always, sometimes the soft mats can actually carry a lot of bacteria, especially if they're not cleaned at least 2 times a week. I'm sorry, 2 times a day, not a week. They should actually be cleaned 2 times a day. Hardwood floors, they're a lot easier to maintain clean. I actually clean mine every time we use it, but that's because I'm paranoid. So the flooring, the big companies might say, oh, well, we have an expensive floor for you to work on. Not really important. It's a luxury item in many ways. As they actually also said some really interesting things where, well, you should have professional instructors. Well, professional instructors, all it means is these are people who get paid to teach martial arts. Now, anyone who gets paid to teach martial arts is a professional. Now, the question is a person who's a professional, someone who's teaching a martial art, or are they involved in business? Again, there's nothing wrong with the martial arts studio that's trying to make money, that's running as a business. But the thing is, know that the more people you have on staff doesn't mean you're getting any better instruction. It's just telling you that this is going to be a business first, a school second. Now, where do I talk about this from? I actually have been a professor in a lot of different areas, community college all the way to doctoral programs. And one of the things I will tell you is administration makes the funding of the place easier. What I mean is those people who are doing the office job, they can get money, they can actually work to get the money where it has to be. What I mean by that is this. Let's say I have 100 students. Having administrators, having professional people working for me can actually see, who hasn't paid and why. We're going to go to them and ask them for their money. It's a money thing. And like I said, it is important if you are a big studio. There's a lot of great studios which are small. The people I train with, let's see, it's about 7 people who train regularly when I go to Okinawa, and I'm happy to train with these 7 people because first of all, they're all more qualified than I am, and second, I get individualized attention. It's a preference for me. Now, a small school has that. Big school has benefits as well. You have a lot of people you could work with. You have actually a lot of different things. But it's one of the big things I want you guys to see is it's not a thing of, well, big school is good, small school bad, or small school is good, big school is bad. It all depends on how it actually is meshed up. Now, a lot of companies will tell you, oh, well, you have to be big to get a high quality product. Well, that's kind of like thinking, well, if you want to get a great steak, you have to go to a chain steakhouse. The truth is, chances are at a chain steakhouse, you'll get a steak. If you want a great steak, you have to actually go to a independent steakhouse where they have the proper people working there. It may be a small place, but you'll get a high quality meat. At the same time, it's just because some place is small doesn't mean, we've all probably gone to restaurants where they're small and it's like, yeah, I'm never going to go back there again. And so the thing is, you really can't decide where or how something should be just based on the size. You can't decide whether one place is good or bad because it's a business or because it's not a business. So how do you choose a school? Well, I would tell you to start with what Itosu's 10 prefaces of karate. And I actually use this for martial art. And one of the ones in particular is this. What is your karate for? Is it for you to get healthy? Is it for you to feel better about yourself? Is it for you to do work? Depending on what you want to do, your martial art will actually change. For instance, if you want to compete in MMA, you actually have to go to a studio where people who train there and teach there have been in mixed martial arts, have competed in it. To have someone who hasn't competed in mixed martial arts teaching you mixed martial arts really doesn't make sense. If you want something that is self-defense driven, look, are they teaching you something that it would work in reality? Are they actually telling you about, hey, look, make sure you don't get yourself into trouble by going to places where you might have to use this, and make sure that you always understand the legal ramifications of what you're doing. These are big things. So to look at, if you're looking at going to Olympics, there are schools that they have people who have gone to the Olympics for martial arts in judo or taekwondo, and coming this year, karate. And you have to go to people who have trained and taught people who are interested in that. And that's actually it. Now, I will talk a little bit about making it, if something is going to pretty much make you feel better. Well, why do you need a activity to make you feel better? I'm not saying that to be arrogant or anything, but what I'm saying is this. If what's going to make you feel better is achievement, well, do you want the achievements to be true achievements or false achievements? What I mean by that is this. Do you want to have an achievement? Do you want your achievements to be based on something you can actually say and show, look, this is why I got this achievement? For instance, if you went to the green belt, do you have something that you could tell if someone doesn't know anything about martial arts? Can you show them something that shows that, yes, this is why I'm a green belt. This is why I'm moving up. Or is it something that you're going to tell people, well, you just don't understand? Truth is, I will say, after a month or two, most people have enough information that they could actually teach people outside who have never been in martial arts. I've actually had some people teach people who have been in martial arts, and they just were able to understand certain moves better. And so the big thing is, when you are looking for martial arts schools, yes, you have to look at different things different things for what you're looking at. If your only goal is to make sure your 5-year-old kid ends up with a black belt, well, you're not really going to find a good school. If you see a lot of little kids running around, usually not a good place to be. If you look at the black belts, you should right away, without having any experience whatsoever, say, wow, that guy can actually defend himself. I know that there are different levels of black belt, but my view is if someone is a black belt, they should be at a level that you could be say, yeah, that person can defend themselves pretty well under most circumstances. I hope you enjoy this video, and you'll have a nice day. Oh, and by the way, if you like to support it, please look at these two books, Off the Rails and Saracen the Rarest Things, on Amazon. And if you, that's the best way to support me. Thank you. Have a nice day.